That's pretty good. Sorry guys, as soon as I heard about it, I just had to try it. Now, let's get on with the video. What up YouTube, I am Sean Arona and welcome to Stuck in Love Films, where we are creative 100% of the time. We have a fantastic video for you today. Last week we actually got together and decided to pit the Panasonic G9 against the Sony A7R III. Now these are both fairly new cameras. They are both flagships in their respective companies, and we decided to test out how they stack up against each other. They both have very advanced professional photography features, and both have a lot of really good video features. Some may say that one is in a completely different league than the other, but these both have very powerful features, and I am excited to see how they look side by side. Today we actually have Allen Nop from Digital Noise. I will put a link in the description to his channel. He is a very talented fashion photographer who will be bringing his A7R III for us to play with today. He will be testing the photo capabilities of both of these cameras, as I will be testing the video capabilities. We also have Carmel Tajeddini, who is a local model slash actress. I will include a link to her Instagram below. Yeah, I'm very excited. We went to Center City Park in Greensboro, so let's take a look at what we got. The first test that I really wanted to test out between the two cameras video-wise was, what does the footage look like straight out of camera? What does it look like without any grading, without any adjustments to it? So I got Carmel to do a little walking for me. So here's the footage out of the G9. So now let's look at the Sony A7R III footage. I put it on the same glide cam and had Carmel do some walking again. Check it out. The next thing I wanted to test was how well these cameras graded in post. So I put each camera in their flattest picture profile so that I can get the most dynamic range out of each of their sensors. So I put the G9 in Cinelike D, and this is what the footage looked like. Next, I took the Sony and put it in S-Log3. This thing supposedly has 15 stops of dynamic range, so I'll let you guys take a look at it and see what you guys think. So I was very pleased with how the images looked out of both of these cameras. The next thing I wanted to do was just kind of play around with some slow-mo. So I put the G9 in its 4K at 60 frames per second and shot a little bit of this. That was really fun. Next, let's check out the Sony footage. Disclaimer, I had to downscale from 4K to 1080 to film 60 frames per second on the Sony camera. Both of them can do higher frame rates at HD, but I wanted to make the footage look similar, so since I shot in 60 for the G9, I shot in 60 for the Sony. So here's what that footage looks like. So that's all I have for the video side of things because we're running out of time and running out of light. So I'm gonna hand it off to Allen to talk to you about some photography stuff.
So let's go ahead. We're gonna go out in the field, and then I am gonna go ahead and get Carmel to stand out there and pose, and we're gonna test the 50mm on. It's a Canon 50mm 1.2 on the Kipon adapter attached to the Panasonic G9. And we're gonna see how good the pictures come out just for a regular shoot. I guess we could test we're gonna test overall autofocus capability with this camera. What? Is it recording? Why didn't you tell me that? I was only shooting at 5.0. I didn't realize that. But now I've changed it to 1.2 at a shutter speed of 200. I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 200. So let's try
that lone wolf.
I know, right? He's so like by himself. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Beautiful. I know, fight that coldness, fight that wind. Oh, it's gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. I love it. All right, so the autofocus is pretty snappy. It's a little sort of caught me off guard because I'm trying to half press the shutter, but I'm actually taking a shot as I'm half pressing the shutter. So I'm like getting a lot of shots ahead of time, or I'm like taking shots I didn't mean to take just because. But it's really snappy. It's like locking on the focus pretty well. You'll see that in the video. But at 1.2, it's pretty good. I'm gonna take just a few more shots. Yep, there you go. Yep, gorgeous. Cross your legs, sort of like this for me. Yep, there you go. And then turn your head. Yep, just like that. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous. Awesome, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Gorgeous.
He's so encouraging, y'all.
Okay. I can fix this in post. It's fine. I can figure out what to do.
Can you?
But the true point of this test was to test out the autofocus capability of the camera. Even with a mounted lens, it's doing a pretty good job. I'll show you what the images look like in post, and then like try to manipulate it and see. And because it came out of the camera, this can also be a test for the dynamic range that the camera has on the image. See if I can. It's overexposed just a bit in the image, but I can see if I can bring that back down in post to see if I can get like a good image from your ghostly figure. I'm just kidding, you're not a ghost.
Y'all, it's winter. I look white.
Okay, so that was a twofer. That was basically a dynamic range autofocus thing on this camera. So let's do it with the Sony real quick. Okay. We have the Sony on, we have the 50mm 1.2 by Canon on a Sigma mount on the A7R3, which is my camera, and we're gonna shoot it and then compare the images that I get between mine and the Panasonic G9. Ready? So same thing, sort of just like to the camera. Oh, 1 second. Silent shooting mode. Give me 1 moment. Yeah, it's like silence. Silent shooting off. Okay. Alright, ready?
Yes.
Ready? Everything should be good. Alright, I'm shooting at 1/750th of a second at 1.2 aperture. Ready? Gorgeous. Here just a little bit. Yeah. Yep. Beautiful. There you go. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Perfect, perfect. Sort of like do yep, go like this and then just look that direction for me. Look that way. That side. Alright, so what we're going to be doing now is I have the 50mm still on the A7R3 and the Sigma MC11 adapter, and we're going to be testing out the high-speed burst modes of both the A7R3 and the Panasonic G9. My camera does 10 frames a second. So, and then what does the G9 do again? Like 14, up to 14, 15 or something like that? It can do supposedly 60 something, which is mind-boggling to me. But we'll definitely test it. It can shoot really fast. It's basically all you have to really know. Is that it can shoot really fast. Alright, ready? And 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so that was as much as my camera could shoot before it started buffering. That's about 40 shots. I have the Sony, I'm shooting uncompressed RAW. So that's like, I believe each file is around like 60, 70 megabytes, 80 megabytes. And it's the highest, and I'm shooting at 42 megapixels each shot, so that's a lot of stuff it's a lot of memory. It's still rolling, right? So now we're gonna take the 50mm off the A7R III and then put it on the Panasonic G9. We're gonna do some lens surgery really quick. Yeah, I have it on the adapter, and so we're gonna try autofocus on the camera with the high-speed burst that this thing can do, and let's see if it can capture all the you know, images in focus when I'm shooting at high-speed burst. All right, ready?
Yep.
Okay, pull that right there. All right, so you can hear that, right?
Barely. Yeah.
So the same thing. You hear it. You're gonna hear it shoot, and just move on. Okay. 1 second. 3, 2, 1, go. Wait, is it buffering?
Yeah.
1 second.
I
not
heard
sure.
it, then it like stopped.
I've been shooting with the Sony 128GB read speed 300 megabytes a second and write speed 299. This is good for the high speed burst because like it writes really, really fast. And then Sean has the 128GB Extreme Pro. It's at 95 megabytes, so I could tell during the shoot that it was sort of buffering a lot quicker than my other camera. So I'm gonna pop in my memory card in there so that way we can do a better test. Beautiful. Okay.
That sounds like a lot.
It was a lot. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna change. This is shooting RAW?
Yeah.
How do you get the JPEG?
The JPEG.
How do you do JPEG? Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna change it to JPEG on his. I'm gonna change it to JPEG on mine, and we're gonna see how many shots I can get before it starts to buffer.
Oh, that's a good test.
Yeah.
Do you want me to man this?
Yeah. How do you do the timer?
He's gonna cheat.
I'm asking you on my phone. How do I do
know.
the timer?
I was like, I can do it on mine if you want me to pull it out.
We're gonna test out how many shots we can get in JPEG off the G9, and then against the A7R III. Okay, ready?
Tell me when to go.
Okay. Ready? All right, Carmel, this is it. For this camera, when I say 3, 2, 1, go, hit the button. Like 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
I've run out of things to do.
Twirl around. Twirl around. Spin like your entire body around, like a ballerina. Jesus.
I don't know if it's gonna stop.
I know. Is it gonna stop? It's been 35 seconds.
Are they supposed to be pretty at this point?
Hold on, maybe this was a bad
Whose
test.
camera was this?
It's still.
Good
Oh,
luck
there you go.
deleting-
Stop.
Good luck deleting them.
Oh, okay. It was 50 seconds.
50 seconds.
Just accept defeat.
Alan just said.
I whispered it. Whoa! Look at it when I hold it down. It's going backwards too, by the way. I'm not even going forwards. That is so cool. I love that. So, let me just make sure I have enough shots on here to do this. Okay, good. I still have 8,000 shots left on this memory card. If we're shooting in JPEG. So, all right, we're gonna do the same thing. Tell me when you're ready with the timer.
Timer is ready.
Okay, so 50mm 1.2 with the Sigma adapter on the A7R III shooting high speed burst, 10 frames a second, JPEG in JPEG. So
Like if you run out of things to do.
yeah, like just do the same modeling thing that you were doing, and then if you run out of ideas, just do whatever.
Start doing one, two.
Yeah, exactly. Just do the Dougie or something. All right, ready? And 3, 2, 1, go. Oh wait. Okay, how about stop?
What? 12 seconds.
Well, you're shooting at 24 frames a second still. I'm at 24 megapixels. I'm shooting double that. So how many seconds was it?
50.
50. Okay.
And you had 12.
At 12 seconds. Okay, so there's no way for me to lower the so to be 100% honest, you don't need 42 megapixels if you're shooting, you know, like weddings or stuff like that. Like I have an A7R III because I like to crop a lot. So at 42 megapixels, it gives me a lot of leeway, or if I want to shoot something really big or make big prints, I can do that. But at JPEG, 12 seconds is the maximum you can do when shooting high-speed burst at 42 megapixels.
So since it's been a week since we've actually done the test, I've actually had time to play with the footage and edit it together, as you've seen. So I'm going to give my final thoughts on these two cameras and how they compare. I was able to look at the footage from both of these cameras on a big monitor. So honestly, the sharpness stacked up pretty well. The G9 is very impressive at 4K. Color right out of the camera looked pretty similar. Dynamic range looked pretty similar with a baked in image. Going into the flatter picture profiles and really expanding that dynamic range, the Sony really did a lot better with recovering highlights and getting all of that information. They both graded fairly well though. I would be happy with either one in the edit suite. I think that the Sony color science was actually a little bit better, and which is funny because I hear so many people kind of complain about Sony color science, but in this case, you know, it was a lot warmer. It was a lot more realistic to like what things naturally look like even after grading. Now in terms of like shallow depth of field, there didn't seem to be that huge of a difference between the two cameras. Now I know one is like a micro four thirds and one is a full frame. I did have a speed booster on the G9 which made it more of a super 35 and allowed more light to come in and to get that shallow depth of field. Now it didn't make it like full frame exactly, but like actually going and filming with it and with the same lenses, the footage didn't look that different. They both looked really good. Both had very creamy bokeh. I was very pleased with that side of things. Another thing that surprised me was the in-body stabilization. Now, the G9 supposedly has some of the best in-body stabilization in the world in terms of mirrorless cameras. However, in practice, it didn't seem like there was that much of a difference. Like the Sony A7R III has in-body stabilization and it worked out great. Like they both smoothed out the image pretty much at the same level. Now I know that the G9 probably was a little better, but again, this is like in the field, in practice, they both performed very close. So to be honest, this contest was very neck and neck. But I'm going to have to give the props to the Sony. So not only did it perform well, but I love the S-Log3. I really wish the G9 would have the V-Log option because I really like that extra dynamic range to keep the highlights in the shadows. And of course, the Sonys are king in low light. However, I thought that it was amazing how well a $1,700 camera stood up to the $3,000 camera. They are both very good tools, and you would be lucky to use either one of these. I recommend, if you are looking into cameras, both of these are a good option. However, if you're looking to save a little money, I would go with the G9 because it has pretty much everything that you need, and you could spend the extra money that you would spend on just the body of the Sony on some like really good lenses or accessories, depending on if you're going for the photography route or the videography route. Now let's hear from Allen, who has had a chance to edit these photos and give his opinion on how they stack up in photography.
Alright y'all, so I'm back here at my place and I wanted to talk a little bit more about my thoughts and final comparison with the A7R III versus the Panasonic G9. Now overall I thought the quality of the G9 was pretty close in comparison to the A7R III. It is a crop sensor camera, so with that you're not getting that full crispy full frame look that you get from the A7R III because the A7R III is full frame. But with that aside, with the technology that we have today with other crop sensors, I really think the G9 blows all of them out of the water. So one thing that I noticed during the shoot was the difference between the viewfinders in the A7R III versus the Panasonic G9. The G9 has this really crispy, clear looking viewfinder, electronic viewfinder, while the A7R III lacks just a little bit in the actual image within the A7R III. It was really nice and crystal clear, so I have to give it up to the G9 when it comes to the electric viewfinder. I hear that Panasonic's viewfinders are like one of the best in the industry, so definitely thumbs up for the G9 for the viewfinder. The G9 has 4K at 60 and 4K at 30 frames a second, while the A7R III only has 4K at 24 frames. Also with the G9, what I really like about its LCD screen in the back is that it's variable. It can actually move, out. You can turn it around and you can see yourself if you want to vlog. The A7R III only has a tilt up and tilt down screen, so you're really limited when you're trying to, turn the screen over around so that way you can see yourself, especially if you want to vlog. And there's not many angles that you can get with the A7R III compared to the Panasonic G9. It does have a faster burst rate. As you can see in the video, granted the A7R III is shooting at 42 megapixels, but when you set it to JPEG versus the Panasonic G9's JPEG, the G9 was blowing the A7R III out of the water. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more faster because it's half the megapixel count than the A7R III, but it was going for a very long time, and I was surprised at how fast it was taking all the photos at its 10 to 20 frames a second. The Panasonic G9 is a lot more affordable as well compared to the A7R III, and it being a crop sensor has a lot to do with that as well. But for the features that you get for it, it's definitely a steal. It being around $1,000 to $1,500 less than the A7R III is definitely a good price, I think, for a crop sensor camera at its caliber. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really fun and fair comparison between both the A7R III and the Panasonic G9. I had lots of experience using crop sensor cameras before, but not a mirrorless one. I'm shooting right now with the Sony A6500, and if I were to compare that camera to the G9, I think the G9 would blow my A6500 out of the water. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great comparison between the two. Sean really had some great points about how he felt when he was using the G9 compared to the A7R III. And I would love again to try out the G9 for any other type of shoots that I would have that would actually need a camera of that caliber. So I do give 2 thumbs up to the G9. I think it held pretty well against the A7R III, and I can't wait to have another opportunity to use it again.
Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would also like to take a second to give a shout out to my girlfriend, Tanner Summers. She is an amazing woman who encourages and inspires me every single day and is part of the reason why I'm here doing what I am doing today. Thank you. I love you. And those of you watching out there, keep filming things, keep taking pictures, never let anything get in your way, and remember, it's not about the camera that you have, it's about you and what you can do with it. Go fulfill your dreams. I believe in you. I'll see you guys next time.
Alright, hey guys, this is Sean Nerona with Stuck in Love Films here, doing our final thoughts here with Allen. Alright, hey Nopsters, this is Allen Nop from Digital Noise. I got my puffer jacket on, I got my nice hat. Let's get into this review. And I'm the edgy one because I got my, my jacket on, and I can say fuck on my channel, so I can't. Yeah. Right.